All right. Welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, Day 68. Orthoplex 64 sends a wave. And you can probably hear in the background there's a lot of fireworks outside because it's I didn't even realize it's a holiday. One away from meme number. Yep, hopefully the power doesn't go out or something tomorrow. Yash Kumar says, hello. How's it going? So I guess what are the updates? Some people asked about, I guess in the Discord there's a bot that pings when a live stream starts. But I guess I'm not familiar with whatever thing you guys, whatever API you guys are using. But someone asked about like why there's duplicate events, and I think it's because I think there's one for when I create the live stream, and there's a separate one for like either when it ends or when it officially starts or something like that, or when the VOD is created. And I also think that today when I started, like this happens randomly sometimes when I go to the dashboard to start a live stream, sometimes the chat, it'll just say live stream chat is not available, and I can't start the live stream if I can't see the chat. So I have to like close it and then start a new live stream, and the second time it just goes through. Where are you from? I'm from Canada. Hey bro, you're gonna make your own army. Yeah, maybe if I get enough money. It takes a lot of money though. As for updates, there's no substantial updates on really any of these things. Taxes are still basically done. I'm going to wait the actual, my year end just finished up, so I'll wait like a week and then finalize that, send that off to the accountant. And, the first item here is work on some videos. So I actually filmed a bit today. So hopefully I'll have another video out soon. And of course, as always, work on world domination plans. And there's been no work necessary on the renovation front today. So today, I guess we will continue on with the work on the block mining simulation game. Since it seems the Sapphire bot sends it for stream created and Pinkroid sends it for stream live rather than both from one bot. Yeah, I guess it's I guess depending on what you want. I guess I've noticed recently some people are here before as soon as I even click it. There's some people who are here before, so I encourage you if you want to be super early, then you can follow whatever you guys set up the Discord however you want. But I figured I'd just provide some context on like when it's because you might think it's a bug on your end because so if you do see like I think that happened that thing where I go to start the live stream in the chat, it just says like where the chat usually is, it just says sorry, live stream chat is unavailable, and so there's like I can't go live without chat, so I just have to like recreate it. And when that happened, that happened. This time I only had to recreate it once, and the last time it happened, I think I had to go back in and create the stream like 3 times before the window just appeared. I don't know, something wrong in the backend servers or whatever. But if you see like 3 created live streams, then that's what's going on. And then I think also last time I for what is it, day 60 or something, for when I did the the calzone stream. I went to the park and I was going to do mobile live stream on my phone, and on my phone it allowed me to create the live stream, and then when I clicked create, actually go live, it just said it failed, and please log in with your credentials and stuff. So I didn't have them on me, so I just came home and did it on the computer as always. But then of course I have not figured out any possible way through mobile to end a live stream. As far as I can tell, it is literally impossible to end if a live stream gets stuck on an existing live stream. There's no way to end it from a mobile phone. I have to come home and then go on the desktop version of YouTube and edit from there. Anurag Duda says, hey, how's it going? There's a lot of money's worth of fireworks out there. I don't know, like a pack of them is like $100 or something. And they just, for hours and hours, tons of fireworks. All right, the game works. What holiday is it? Not quite. I think it's Canada Day or something. I went to the store and I didn't even think anything about it. I went there and then I noticed the dollar store was closed, and I was like, oh, it must be some kind of holiday. And then I went over to the grocery store and there was the parking lot was totally empty. So I did not get anything. All right. I'm hosting a barbecue for the 4th. I'd invite you, Robert, but I think California might be too far of a travel. Yeah, I think it would be pretty far for an event for a barbecue. Thank you for the offer, though. It's one of those events where you can bribe everyone with food and pretend you have friends. I don't even think I've been to an event of that nature. Last time I was at a barbecue was a long time ago. The last 10 years has been work on stuff, COVIDs, rent evictions. All right, let's continue on with the conversion process. Hot dogs, bratwurst? I never heard of that. Never heard of bratwurst? It must be a German thing. It must be bratwurst. It's probably German. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Bratwurst. Chatman's bratwurst review. I guess I could figure out what it is first. I was not impressed with the calzone. So hopefully whatever a brat first is, it'll be better. There's also liver first. That was not a calzone in my book. Seemed like pretentious imitation. Yeah, this is a calzone dessert. I looked really hard to try and find one, but there's none around here. Brat first, it's usually served with mustard from the plant and sauerkraut. Sort of like a hot dog with better buns and sausage. That sounds like it might be better than a calzone. Chat is single-handedly turning your channel into a food review one. I don't know if it's all of chat. I think that there's certain members of chat who are disproportionately influencing the channel in that direction. you had steak fries? I'm not sure. I don't. Are they just a type of fries you have with steak? Or are they something different than regular fries? Brendan Fraser says, one more day. Yep, tomorrow will be day 69. I'm ready for the world domination. Excellent. What are you coding today, my dude? Today, I'm continuing on with some migration work on a data structure. I'm trying to fix a design flaw in one of the fundamental data structures in my program. Steak fries are much more. All right, I'll have to Google them, I guess. Why world domination when you can destroy it? I don't know. I mean, I think destroying the world would also be that'd be a lot. That'd be so much work. Like if you're gonna go to the work of destroying it, why not just fix it? Sounds meaty. Steak fries, I guess. Referring to bug fixing fundamental data structure. I thought so. What is this, guys? This is software development on my terminal-based video game. I'm currently working on fixing a design flaw in a data structure in my program. Use Mac or Windows? I use Linux. My dude is running Temple OS. Nope, unfortunately I'm not. I'm not elite enough of a programmer to run Temple OS. Maybe one day I will reach that level. God's chosen compiler. Legit putting on Vaporwave. Then also a video of Terry yelling at his bird, cursing out the CIA. Really been getting me in the groove lately. Vaporwave and Terry programming is great for focusing. I know there's a lot of clips of him floating around. So Terry's the only reason I know who Physics Girl is. I think I'd seen her randomly on YouTube before. I think there's one of his top clips that gets recommended on YouTube has her in the thumbnail. I think he had a bookmark to her page. Do you guys hear? She's got long COVID, mostly bedridden. Oh yeah. Didn't realize COVID could do that. Yeah, that is that's so unfortunate. So much like wasted lifetime. And it sounds like it's given her so much fatigue that, you know, even if she recovers, it's still not like she had an incredible work ethic and was like pumping out lots of content, and then that's such a major setback. I think she's starting to come out of it now, though. But that's been well. How long is COVID? COVID was 5 years ago now. It was 5 years ago, but the effects will be with us for decades. I reject the effects. Not if you get long COVID, though. Then you can't. It'll be bedridden. You can't ignore it. Alberta Politics says, Robert, what do you think about Lisp languages like Scheme, CL, and Clojure? Honestly, I don't have a lot of experience with them. It was see, I'm forgetting my languages. I think it was Scheme. I did a course. It was on all this Blythe language. I think it was Scheme. That was the first. It was on functional programming, so it was really difficult to get started. I think like pure functional programming is very useful skill to learn, but I just haven't spent much time on it, and I haven't really touched any of those languages in years. Time to chug some water. Fight the fever dreams. Night, guys. Have a good night. Can you let me slap that beautiful, bald, shiny head? Poogie bear. No, that's disrespectful. We just slap a dangerous man's head. Yeah, I'm working on world domination. I have an image to maintain here. I can't just let people disrespect me like that. Hey man, what's up? Not too much. Just working on the block mining simulation game. Heading out. Have a good one. Thanks for stopping by. Jesus loves you. Excellent. I'm glad to know that is the case. Universities in Ontario taught Racket in programming paradigms for a while, which is Scheme, but cleaned up. Interesting. I'd never even heard of Racket. Honestly, there's too many languages. They should just have one language, so we don't have to remember so many different languages. Hackamatrix says hello. How's it going? One language, Holy See. I haven't actually ever tried Holy See. I remember reviewing some of Terry's code, and it was for how disorganized his mind was. The code he had was remarkably clean, and it was just very simple. So I wonder how many weird corner cases exist in Holy See. Practice Lisp. It's put as close to a single language where everything is possible. Harith Rayan says, hello there, Robert. How's it going? It's got cringe syntax for a lot of people, though. Interesting. I only program in emojis. There is a programming language that uses emojis, if I remember correctly. Unholy C, a C compiler that converts XML syntax similar to JSX into C code. With bindings to React.js. Is that a thing that exists? Sounds like something someone would actually create. Greetings from Germany. Good morning. It is 4:54 a.m. It's very early. Currently it is 10:55 here. Why has some bindings? What is your best distro for production? I would say at like for like actual business production, you have to figure out what you want first. So there's you could use different distributions for depending on what you're using. Whatever runs whatever kind of software you're using. Honestly, in these days, like unless you have like a team of people and on-call people, I would actually try to optimize for like whatever your endpoint is, whatever like the edge thing. In these days, I would almost be kind of afraid to host a web server to a public-facing internet. And any kind of stuff, like my websites and stuff, I try to all host them on like Amazon Web Services through CloudFront or something. So like I can be pretty sure that Amazon S3 won't get hacked, and if it does get hacked, it's not my problem. Doesn't exist. I want it. The best distro is HackMatrix for MMO Linux at least. Yeah, how is the HackMatrix project going? I remember your very generous super chat back in the day. I tried to get you some more subscribers, but then you privated some of your videos. But I see I checked again. There's some of them are open. I'm not sure if you're interested in growing the project or not. Putting an RPG together. Interesting. It's very. It's an interesting concept. I think there's room for some like what would you call it? Like very reflexive metaverse type of programs. Grateful for the subscriber uptick. Yeah, actually, I wasn't sure if you. I mentioned it, but then you privated the video, so I was like, I don't know if he wants the attention or not. But if you want, I strongly encourage anyone to go check out HackMatrix's channel and check out his project. Give him a couple more subscribers. For me, it's Rocky. When I take over the world, I'll be able to afford Red Hat. Playing a village simulation creator game. Excellent. We can all have our own, in the future we'll all have our own individual metaverse games. Want to design a real village with it. World, D&D world. A warm temperature swamp. So I'll make it a sea village archipelago with yachts. Interesting. That sounds like a lot of, you got a lot going on there. Bro, that it said global replace. It's not, because I'm doing it will be at the end. When I eventually, once I replace the new back to the old, because I'm doing it this way because there's like a whole bunch of places where I have to increment by one, and I have to actually like look at the code and think about it. That's one of the reasons I kind of avoided this change for so long. And this way allows me to like, I can do like, I can do a finite number of the conversions from the old type to the new type, and then I can like, I can test it. So after this, after doing all these, like actually last night even, I did some replaces and it worked. So it compiled, but it crashed because there was a couple things that I needed to update that I didn't notice, but because I kept the scope of the migration small, and I'd only there's a couple of functions that I had changed. Then I was like, okay, it's in one of these things, and then I was able to isolate it quick. Whereas if I do a sed replace, it'll just crash immediately, and there's like 50 cases where I need to fix it. And then sometimes I might fix one and be like, okay, that's fixed, but then I fix the other 50 and they're fine. But one of them was wrong, and I don't know which one. $62. But at the end, it will be just a simple sed. Kanzana Vlogs says, hi again. How's it going? What vim command we're using to jump similar functions? So the answer that last question first. I mean, your Discord server, everything is locked mostly. There's a link up to the top. Yeah, there's everything is locked in my official Discord. It's because I don't really have an official Discord, because I'd have to moderate it and stuff, and I also don't really want to. If I had an official one, I would want to keep the stuff that people talk about kind of locked down a bit. But I also don't want to do that. I'd prefer to just outsource the moderation as long as people are not too crazy. So if there's a link in there, there's the unofficial one that actually people actually talk on, and if you scroll up a bit, there should be in the official Discord. There's a link to the unofficial one. But yeah, for the thing. So when I look at my compile messages, I use plus whatever and then the line number. So that just goes directly to. That just goes directly to line number 62. So plus and then number. That's and then to jump to something, I do slash. Then I could just type anything like this, and then if that was there, then I jump immediately to that place. And then, of course, also you can use up with the slash. So the last thing I searched for. So that was the last thing I searched for. Then I do up again, and then that was the most second most recent thing, and then I can just keep going through what were the most recent things that I searched for. So there's those ones. Similar named functions. Oh, I had actually one thing habit I've developed over time is if I change something. So for example, here, if I do, let's say I delete that, and I do, let's say I add a space here, and then I go to the end of the file, so Control-Shift-G, that takes me to the end of the file. Now let's say I want to jump back up there, or I want to go to the last thing I did. I press U to undo the last thing I did, and that undoes the last thing I did. But it also jumps me back there, and I found that I've I guess you can do this with marks, I think. But often I'll just, if I know that I recently changed something, as I'm editing stuff, what I'll do is I'll just, if I want to go back to where I just was, I will undo the change I just did and then redo it. So I can do U to undo it and then Control R to redo it. And that has the effect. I just do undo and redo. That immediately takes me back to the last place I was editing. So that's just a really fast way of navigating around. World domination. Yep. Isn't it self-explanatory? Okay, forgot what it was doing now. What you doing? I am currently working on my terminal-based video game, and I'm trying to fix some design flaws in a fundamental data structure. Editing Java in VI? Yep. I had been, for a while I was trying to use an IDE, but I keep just falling back to old habits. Take a shot each time you can ask what you're doing. I can't do that. I would be taking a lot of shots. Tried installing and running the game on Windows a while back. Couldn't get it to work. Interesting. Yeah, I'm actually not surprised at all that it wouldn't work on Windows. How far back was it? There was I had a few issues with the build process. It uses a makefile and stuff, which I don't know. You'd probably, if you used like Windows subsystem for Linux, you might be able to get it to work. But yeah, on Windows is not a supported platform at the moment. Few months. I can't remember when it was with someone. Yeah, I think it should be a little bit better recently. If you the last release, the 0.07 release, that version is much better than previous ones, and it also has some. It definitely has some improvements in the build process compared to the last one. Yeah, actually, I guess there's the J and I library. Actually, I don't even know. I haven't thought at all. I would expect that to be a problem. So if you really are determined to run it, the J and I library is not actually necessary. So if you can get it to build, like if you can just ignore the J and I library, like just rip that out and make it like ignore it in the build process, and then when you try to run it, or if you try to run the jar, it'll fail because the JNI is not there, but there's a flag to -- disable JNI, and the effect that will have is it will not try. Actually, you know what? I should add something to the error message. Yeah, I thought about that last time. When it fails to launch the JNI, it should tell you like try running it with that flag, so that way people don't just say, "Oh, it's broken." But if you disable JNI, then it should still work as long as the terminal's the same, but this case will not work. So if I do this, it resizes the window, and there's quite a bit of design in it to make that work properly and repaint the window. But if right now I'm relying on the JNI library to get the terminal resize event. And if you disable JNI, that doesn't work, so it doesn't repaint itself. You use Docker to handle it. I never thought about it. I guess I probably could distribute Docker images or something. At the moment, it's not a high priority thing. I think there's only like a handful of people who have even tried to run the game. Yeah, it is working, which is great. So I just changed a whole bunch of stuff. All right, that was actually quite a bit of progress, I think. Feels like I'm in war with all the fireworks outside. Yeah, there was quite a bit of them here before, but there's none now. Yeah, so this is one example where I actually have to, I can't just do a replace, I gotta turn my brain on and think. Are we on God? Not sure. Is that like a topological question? That's the best way, the best response I can think of. Let me think. This might be a one that needs a +1. Terminal and ASCII aesthetic are underrated. Yeah, it's there is something special about it. I think I've thought about it, and my opinion is I think it's just like it's a higher the signal to noise ratio is higher. It's just like it's more clear to determine what's happening and how things are changing. Whereas in like a graphical interface, it's just the possible number of states that you're looking at is just so much greater. You know what? That's just too many changes. Yeah, that's a topic if I had more time, it's on my to-do list to actually make a video about that. But like, I think with a whole lot of things you can broadly express them in terms of like the satisfiability or the satisfaction of interacting with certain kinds of interfaces. People don't have a good way to articulate it, but I think the signal to noise ratio is a pretty good way to talk about it. This is going to require a lot of other careful changes. What's the point of the stream? I don't understand the title. Twitter says, good luck, dude. Thank you. The point of the stream is the work I'm doing. I'm working on a terminal-based video game that I'm developing, and the title is to raise funds for my grandiose and unrealistic plans for world domination. The plan is to take over an uninhabited island in the North Arctic and then start a brand new society, build a deep water port there. I just need to raise $12 billion through super chats on the live stream. Then I can start work on my new society. And then raise some private equity. With my $12 billion port. Start buying up small countries. Slowly take over the world. Yep, that's the plan. Ports equals power. Yep, that's why China is doing all that Belt and Road stuff and taking over ports. What governance system will your society have? For now, we'll just copy and paste the existing one, the Canadian one. And then once we get some funds, we can have a more elaborate. I think a dictatorship would be that'd be pretty good for now. Or maybe just like a standard democracy, but then I get to interfere arbitrarily as I see fit. So as long as people vote the right way, then I won't have to intervene. Sounds like democracy in production. Yep, pretty much. RIP add unit vector. Yeah, I don't even know. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think I want to do this. It doesn't make sense. Let's get rid of it all. There's a bunch of things for basically the so-called upper coordinate. I basically need to add 1 + 1 to all elements of it. So like that's the whole reason I'm doing this manual process, is because that's basically the entire point of this exercise. Is I should not throughout this entire code, when I instantiate this class, this cuboid address, the upper coordinate, they should have all been +1. And then all the code should have been written that way for like the calculation of the intersections and everything. It was a design flaw to do it this way. And the key issue with it is with how it is now, I cannot represent 0 size regions of space, which turns out to be a really annoying drawback, especially around initialization. Not sure I followed that. Sounds like an off by 1 error. Yep, if you followed what I just did there, that was basically one example of the many conversions I have to make. That one was very simple because I literally just had literal values and I just did +1, but then a bunch of them are like manually calculated, or they're like algorithmically calculated. And if I get some of them wrong, I'll try to run it and then it'll just crash. So that's why I'm kind of going through each of them manually. That way I can run it, test it, and if it crashed as a result of that change I just made, then I would know that this here change was the reason it crashed. But fortunately, it did not crash. So that's a subtle one. So when I transform it to coordinate, then I kind of lose the type information. So our IDE refactor tools are nice. I could probably use IDE refactor, but it would I think work for yeah, it would be for some methods. It would be kind of useful, but there's a lot of manual inspection for this one. Like for certain things, in this particular case, a lot of cases, like when I do, if I change the method, then the thing that's passing something into the method is also going to be the wrong type. So I have to go back there. So I can do, so I could just use sed command. Someone else commented that I could just use like sed everywhere. Like I could literally do this. I could do find dot dash name star, gonna do quotes star dot java dash exec sed slash well, this wouldn't, oh, this would be close, but yeah, so this command here, I could just run that on the entire project, and that would take like every instance of this thing and replace it with this in like an incident. Percent colonus. Yeah, that'll do it in the current file. This will do it. Oh wait, actually, dash I in place. So this will do it instantly in all files for the entire project. So I could do this, but I don't want to do that because there's a number of cases where it has there's like manual stuff because it's a +1 change, and there's a few other cases where it's not just +1. I want to test. I want to like do several of like one of the things I changed just a couple of minutes ago was the size, the dimensions, the parameters being passed in for the block size. I just wanted to like change that and then test it and then specifically look to make sure that that was correct, because there's cases where it could just crash and then I don't know which thing is wrong. I don't know. It's going to be hard to debug because it's just crashing and I don't know where it's getting bad information. But if I only change like 3 lines, I know one of those 3 lines that I changed, that's the problem. And I can just instantly fix it. And then the even worse case is like it might run, might not crash, but then like the UI is wrong or something, like all of the output is garbled or something, and I have no idea why, and it takes like a day to debug like where an off by 1 error is. So that's why I'm doing it kind of slowly and manually. Wave Trump. What is this? This is software development of my terminal-based video game. I'm currently working on fixing a design flaw in one of the fundamental data structures of my game. What is this project? The project is a terminal-based video game where you get to mine blocks. You mine blocks of, you simulate the process of mining blocks of iron ore in the Linux terminal. I probably could do, there's probably smarter ways to refactor this, but my experience in programming has just taught me like the work I'm doing right now, every like I'm monotonously making progress. So it's like it's slowly getting to the state that I want, and it works, and there's no bugs in it. And my software development experiences taught me, like, just, make sure you always decrease the number of bugs in your software. Don't let bugs get in and then kind of just let them fester, because then once you have bugs, it gets harder to debug the remaining bugs, and then your software just becomes totally unmaintainable. Or like the amount of time it takes to debug other bugs just increases exponentially. I had been thinking about whether this maybe would be a good candidate for AI, but I just have not had time to set up and play with the AI tools. I kind of doubt that it would solve this problem well. Yeah, I think the like a really key kind of like mathematical argument for like this kind of incremental refactoring is if like, let's say you introduce a bug in your program from some change, it is very important to make sure that the introduction of the bug is very close in time and space to the discovery of the bug. So if I change like 1,000 lines of code in the program and then I see a bug, I don't know which one of those 1,000 lines of code is the bug. And I've worked with other people too who are like otherwise seem intelligent, but man, they're so bad at debugging software. Like, and they're just, I don't even want to work with them because they'll introduce a bug and then like they'll make like 50 changes, and then one of them has a bug, and I'll look at the bug and be like, okay, I probably know where that is. Just do this test, and we'll isolate where the bug is happening. And they'll be like, oh, I know where it is, and then they'll start changing more code. I'll be like, no, we're not sure if this is the problem. Let's go back and test this and use process of elimination. I'm like, oh no, it's probably this and that. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then they'll introduce a bug at the program. The program's now broken. Then they'll find another piece of code that they suspect has a bug in it, and then they'll change that. They'll take a piece of code that works, add more bugs to it, and now the program has multiple, like it's still failing. It still has the same symptom before. It's like, database connection failed or something, and they go and change something that's not related to it, and then now it is like now it doesn't connect to the database, and also there's some other subtle bug. So even once you do get connected to the database, now it has other bugs in it. And in trying to debug like the database connection or something, they'll go and introduce like 3 more bugs. So then you finally get it working, and now there's all these. It's just I don't know. I don't know how to explain the logic of some people like that, because I've met people like that. And I work with them in school, and they manage to get good marks in school, and they're otherwise very intelligent. But I'm like, why? It's like a fundamental intuition about probabilities. Like they're way too willing to just accept if they see a complaint in a log file, like, oh yeah, that's related to this, but it's not. They didn't prove it. IDK, how one can be a software dev and not be a systems thinker and operate scientifically. Yeah, I agree with you, but although like there's a huge number of people who are like that, who have graduated from university and that are in the workforce, and and the worst part is too, some of these people are they also get bought. So like there's a few of these people too. They're like kind of cowboy coders, where they're actually, like, from a manager's perspective, these are the most productive people because they ship the most features, because they've learned to like not spend any time debugging things, and they spend all their time like producing, veneer level features that are broken underneath. So they can actually be very impressive which also makes them hard to work with, because then they're like, oh man, you're like, you got to get with the program. You're wasting all this time on this irrelevant stuff. So they end up getting they end up looking really good on the team because they're pushing so much stuff that's totally broken, and then you're the one that has to fix it. And like, why? What are you taking so long for? Why can't you be like that other guy that pushes bugs to production? Now, the thing that we just changed was chunk initialization. So it looks like it is still correctly initializing chunks. So that is good. That shit doesn't fly in big tech. I don't know. My experience was that there's a lot of that in big tech. I think a lot of the people, though, there's a higher degree of people who are maybe a bit like they're not quite as scientific, but they also do produce quite a bit of features. So they can, you can get along with them well enough. But occasionally, like there's other people who I didn't work with in big tech, who I've worked with in other places that are just really, really, they don't have that scientific intuition about, process of elimination and experimentation. Painful. It's okay though. Nice thing about solo projects, you get to do it your way. Yeah, that's true. Although then you can kind of also go down a rabbit hole where no one can understand your code. this is an example of a thing. I'm gonna have to unit test this. Or I want to unit test it just so, because if this thing suddenly breaks, this will cause extreme subtle bugs for everything. Ski says, hello, how's it going? What are you doing, man? I am currently working on a. I'm fixing some design flaws in a data structure in my terminal-based video game. All the best. Thank you. Have you played with Cursor at all? Are there LLM-based coding tools? I've just barely, like with ChatGPT, and what was it? Copilot. I used that a little bit. Cursor I've never used. What was the other one? Claude? Claude, I think, is that's probably the one I'll try. I've heard that's one of the better ones. That's on my to-do list probably for, like, I don't know, next week or so. I'm going to do my first review of AI coding tools. Do you know how to make cheat sheets for video games? I don't even know what that would be. Cheat sheet, like for cheat sheets are like cheat sheets in the game, or cheat sheets for studying game development, like hacks, or like cheat codes and stuff for like an existing game that you didn't write, or for I guess most of that, there's like cheat codes that are sometimes implemented in games. You have to you could just like Google them and stuff, and then to find like novel hacks and vulnerabilities in a game, you have to like have good debugging and software development skills, ideally. For an existing game, do you know how to make assigned driver and hacks? Like aimbot and wall hacks. I have no experience on that. Like hacks that inject DLLs into the game and alters memory to make shooter games have 100% hit accuracy. That's outside my field of expertise. I don't. DLLs are a Windows thing. I don't do any Windows development. There's I could with my background I could probably learn how to do that, but there's much better people out there to ask about that question. Yeah, ask someone who's familiar with like Windows development. No problem. What is this? This is software development on my terminal-based video game. I'm currently working on fixing a design flaw in the fundamental data structure of the game. We have a good experience using AI tools. There's a bit of learning curve, but to grok their capabilities, limit the scope of your queries. Understand what they're capable of doing. Yeah, I definitely, I do plan, I mean, I don't want to get left behind. From what I have seen so far, it almost seems like there's, I don't think they would replace a lot of the work I do, but I think they could replace, they almost like could open up a new type of programming. Like I'd be interested to see, like, to just let it loose on this code base and say, like, find one mistake in this program and then just see what it comes up with in the code base. One shot versus need handholding, but gotta say, it's worth figuring out. Features that would normally take a week take only an hour or so. Yeah, I'll, I need to, I've been very busy on a lot of stuff recently. People, like, every single day, I get like 5 people that ask me about, well, not every single day, but some days I get many people are constantly asking me about AI code development. So I'm going to try it. The main thing that's held me back is, in the early ChatGPT days, there was no way to, like, associate your code base with it, and, like, just copying and pasting in a code snippet is not really useful. The kind of really amazing stuff is if I can operate on the entire code base, or like a subset of it, which is actually possible now. It seems like they've kind of figured out the kinks on, like, actually getting a plugin that'll actually work in your repo. Totally, you want an AI-enabled IDE, cursor, cloud. Yeah, I think cloud seems to be the one that, or Claude, I think that's how they pronounce it. Claude seems to be the one that people talk about most. I don't really want to use the second best one. I want to just use, like, the best one that people seem to like the most. Because from what I've read so far, there's a few that I've looked at using, and I look them up. I think, like, should I use this? And then people say, like, yeah, this is garbage. It's like, it's full of bugs, and, like, copying and pasting doesn't work and stuff. And I'm like, why would I waste my time screwing around with this when it doesn't even work on, like, it doesn't work on doing non-AI tasks. Now, will the unit tests break? Because this opens up some new cases, and there might be some off by ones in there. Look at that. The unit test failed. Qubit address intersection. presented the in-person cursor is number one. Cloud Code was just released and had some buzz around it. Cursor just raised 900 million. Just surpassed Copilot. It's most used AI IDE. Yeah, I mean, there's also a lot of. I also want to take the time to actually like read what the terms of service are, because all this stuff is like. Some of this stuff is it's just getting pumped up and hyped. Like I've already had people come into chat who I kind of suspect are bots, who are like trying to pressure me into using some AI tool. And I've had like 5 different, people like really persistently be like, "Hey, have you tried this AI tool?" And I'm like, "No, thanks." And I almost think like they like given the nature of what they're promoting, it would totally make sense to have a bot. It would absolutely make sense to have a bot, a chat bot promote a chat bot. Try on 9LE, man, says hello. And you're not a bot. Excellent. Bro, what is this? What are you doing? I'm currently working on fixing some design flaws in a fundamental data structure in my terminal-based video game, which is a game where you simulate the process of mining blocks of iron ore in an infinite procedurally generated universe. Sup, Robert and chat. I'm currently working on fixing the unit tests. I broke the unit tests. I have an interview in a few hours that I'm doubtful I qualified for skill-wise. I'd like to work there someday. Any advice? I'd say just do your best, and honestly, it's sometimes it can be totally random. When I got my internship at Amazon, I thought it was going to be really hard, and it was actually they asked me like some really easy questions, and the person that interviewed me was not even who ended up being my manager. I think they asked like the first question was like how to find duplicate elements in a list in really fast time, which is pretty simple. And there's also cases where I've heard, like through the grapevine, people I went to school with, who like they hired a bunch of interns, and there was this one person that I recall getting hired at a place, and I heard through the from someone else I know who also worked at the same company. Apparently, this individual I know who's very not good, who should not have been hired, they were accidentally hired because this person was so terrible in their interview that some like later the company people, they're like, this is even in a startup, they were talking about like they were talking about this candidate being like, wow, that candidate was really something else, weren't they? And they said they basically made a statement to say like, wow, can you believe how terrible that candidate was? Implying that they should not be hired. But due to miscommunication, the statement about how terrible that candidate was interpreted the opposite way, that they were actually good. So they accidentally hired the worst possible candidate. And this, like, that was a startup where they had a small number of people they were hiring. And so if stuff like that can happen at startups, and especially given like how much like stupid nonsense there is with venture capital and so many companies that have no idea about how to do anything, like if you're good, that will increase the probability you get hired. But if you're terrible, that does not make the probability 0. So no matter how bad you are, you've still got a chance. And you might actually get it. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, crazier things happen. Something else implies 10x coder. The funniest thing I've ever heard. Yep, it happens. Sometimes too, if you interview for an unqualified thing, and I mean, maybe I don't know, maybe it could help. You could talk about it. You could bring it up during the conversation. Like I have multiple times interviewed for a specific role, like something like C++ developer or something, and then they would be like, wow, we're definitely not going to hire you for the C++ role, but you have all this web stuff. We are going to hire you for web development. And so I applied for one position, and then they're just like, actually, we need you on something else. So we'll just, you're available and you have the skill we want. So we've chosen you, and like they've decided they may decide to hire you before they even like see your performance, if they really need you. I mean, it also depends on how much, if the economy is good, which is not necessarily at the moment, but if they just have a need for that internally, then they'll overlook problems and just put you on something. Nice, super long stream. I guess it's I'm getting close to my end. I usually go for 2.5 hours. It lasts a little while. I got a bug in my program, or my test that I introduced, so I'm hoping to fix that. Apply for C++ dev, get hired as janitor. I mean, there are companies that do stuff like that. That happens a lot for, like they'll hire you as, the equivalent of that would be like you get hired for C++ dev, and then they're like, oh, actually, we want someone to do quality assurance, or like some kind of data entry or tech support, call center. Well, actually, I mean, call centers are kind of getting eliminated with AI now, but if you could think about like the least qualified minimum wage position that you can think of in like a software development company, they just put you on that. Oh, interesting. I have 3 errors. Huh. You know what? Maybe I may actually revert this change because I got too much going on. Jesus loves you. Excellent. That is good to know. Get hired as janitor, still get assigned C++ tasks. Yeah, because if the job market is competitive, it could go the other way. Next logical step, overloading a full stack, not only BEFE, DevOps, also everything in between. Yep, you'll be cleaning toilets and doing accounting and everything else. Build server, mine lithium. Yep. No matter how much you do, they'll always be like, oh, these lazy devs won't do all these other tasks that we ask them. Should I continue? You know, I may just actually check out. Let's just abandon that and then run the test again. Yeah, I guess it doesn't even compile. I guess I'll pick this up tomorrow. If your employees aren't sharecropping their own food, you're not vertically integrated enough. Yeah. That's pretty soon not invented here syndrome is it's going to be opposite. Every company will have to completely have their own redundant supply chain. They'll have to make their own CPUs from scratch. Then that's probably why my video is trending so much. What kind of errors are they? I guess I probably shouldn't have discarded those changes, but I guess I got a bunch of compile errors because I changed the interface to a few things, and then also I have some like division by zero and stuff. I'll have to take a look at each of those cases because there's actually a couple new scenarios that I introduced with the whole point of this change was to make it so I can now represent zero size regions of space. But that actually introduces a few new scenarios in testing that did not exist previously. There's a division by zero I saw there, which makes sense because the whole point was to have now a region. I can have an intersection with two regions of space that are both empty, and then they have an empty intersection. And there's probably, that now that the size can be zero, I can have division by zero, which did not exist previously. So I gotta go through and think about some of those, update those, and turn my brain on and think about it for a little bit, which is kind of that's the reason I not just using a refactor tool. All right, well, I think I'll leave it there for tonight. I made a little bit of progress. I'll pick it back up tomorrow then. All right, talk to you later, guys. See you, I guess tomorrow is day 69. So see you. I'll definitely have to make sure I'm here for that one. All right, talk to you later.